You're listening to Sports and More with Chris and Tom.
Well, Spider!
Spider! Kill it! You got it?
This is Febreze, man. It's not going to do anything.
Oh, no.
Welcome back as the guys with the faces for radio and the voices for a silent movie.
This is Sports and More with Chris and Tom. I am Chris.
And I am Tom, and I do apologize if I just blew your eardrums out, but I was attempting to kill a spider with good old Febreze air. So
you need a match with that to kill the spider.
Yes, match and the old homemade flamethrower with the off bug spray and the match, just the aerosol lights. Yeah. But I'm not doing that inside my house on my wooden desk next to my laptop. None of that word, but the old Febreze will die eight-legged fiend. All right. Anyway, we have quite the show for you tonight, and we're recording this on a beautiful Wednesday night, and of course I am being facetious. Hey Chris, we're in I'd consider this late April by this point now, right? So I got a joke for you.
Okay.
If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
Pilgrims?
Yes, they do. That has nothing to do with the weather, but we have had many an April shower this year.
Oh, yeah.
It has not felt like spring. Spring started on March 20th, but in Illinois, it's basically been an extension of winter. Usually is to a small degree.
Right.
But it's been really bad. I mean, it's raining right now.
Yep, we have
rain
rain.
It's raining right now.
Yeah.
It's those April showers, but Chris, like down in Plains, what has the weather been like? And I know, all right, everybody listening right now is probably clicking away because they're like, oh, they're going to talk about the weather. No, all right, we're going to gripe about this a little bit because
it's affecting
season. Baseball. Yeah, it's affecting. Like I had a softball game canceled Monday due to snow.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that happened.
So there's that. So. But down in your neck of the woods, because you're still central Illinois, I'm northern Illinois now. What has it even been like? Have you had any days like above 60?
Yeah, it's like half the day 16, but it's like all those days where it's above 60, it's been raining. So it's like, okay, it's 60 degrees or higher, but it's raining. So it's like, what's the point? It's warm, but it's raining out, so we don't get the benefit of the weather, and then you can't mow your yard. Now I'm telling an old person, I can't mow my yard because it's always raining. So now I can't. It's like. I get home on Friday. Well, maybe I can mow the yard, but there's not enough sunlight. Saturday, I could mow the yard, but it's raining. So, like, what the heck am I supposed to do? Sunday, it's still wet.
Well, and I wish I had that problem. It's been so back and forth, like recently. I mean, in the past couple of weeks, we've had several days in the 30s. And, I mean, even those waking up and overnight, it's in the 20s. So my grass hasn't even grown enough to mow it because it's going back and forth and dying. And yes, we're getting some wet weather, but it's so cold, it's still not letting the grass grow. So I wish I could mow my grass or have the wishing you could have a day to do so. But I mean, up here in northern Illinois, GV specifically, we've had 7 days where it's been above 60 degrees since the technical calendar start of March. And each of them have been rainy days. We have not. I mean, even before March 20th, before the calendar started spring, we had like a 70-degree day, a couple of 60-something degree days. But then, I mean, that was still winter, and then we get into actual spring, and we're back into third, fourth winter here. So it sucks.
It's awful. I mean, I was hoping to get spring weather, get baseball going, feel good about baseball. I know I can't watch the Cubs because they're on marquee, but it's like, okay, it's baseball weather. And it's like, oh,
another discussion.
It's raining all the dang time, or it's freezing cold out, and there's no fans at the games because it's freezing cold or raining. It's like baseball is struggling because of the weather right now. On top of
exactly. I mean, we've had games postponed because of weather when the season was already pushed back because of the lockout, and um, man, it's just been a weird. I mean, we've we've had to force ourselves to take the boys outside because I mean they got to get some fresh air. It's that time of year. They're getting cabin fever. We're all getting cabin fever. We got to be outside. So I mean, even when it is like above 50 and remotely sunny, we're taking them outside because we don't know if the next day is gonna be any better at all. I think tomorrow is supposed to be like 67,
Oh yeah.
but only partly sunny.
Yeah. Yours?
And yeah, we're the old men who are griping about the weather, but here we're just, I mean, I'm also thinking about my kids. My kids want to be outside. They want to play. They want to play on the slides. They want to go to the park.
Yep.
This past Saturday, it was beautifully sunny. We did an Easter egg hunt for the village here in town over at the park. Beautifully sunny, but it was like 38 degrees.
No. No bueno.
You can't stay out too long with 3 and a 1-year-old
No.
in that, man.
Not at all. It's been miserable, and I feel bad for my dog. She can't go outside because she hates the rain. So it's like, well, she's stuck inside. And she,
Oh
yeah,
man.
so it's been rough, guys. It's been rough. But you know what else has been rough? The USFL Week 1 was a rough one. It was.
Oh,
It,
so rough.
if
Like
you,
woof woof rough,
yeah,
man.
I mean, gosh, if you guys sat through all those games, God bless you, because I watched 3 of the 4 games, and that was like, oh boy, this is not looking good. Because the problem is we gave you guys quarterbacks to watch in this league. 3 of those quarterbacks in the first round were not starting by the end of week 1, and one was cut before the season started.
Mhm.
So we even gave you the wrong name for one of the starters because we didn't know he got cut because he was still on the roster. On the USFL.
Was that the guy who supposedly had
No,
violated three team? No, that was a
that's
different guy.
no, this guy just sucked. He just sucked at his job.
Okay.
He was
Because there was a guy from I believe the Maulers who
yeah. We'll get
violated 3 team rules. But
we'll
yeah.
get into that one. It's a wild
Oh,
story. It's a wild
yeah.
story.
I almost shared it. It came through Barstool Sports. I almost shared it to our page on Facebook. I'm like, we're going to talk about this, so we might as well just get into it. But
Yeah.
we'll save that one for the end of the
Yeah,
segment.
and only 3 teams scored more than 20 points the entire weekend. 2 of those teams scored 20 points in the
Yeesh.
same game. It was the Stallions in general scored 20 points it was 20-24 in that game. And the only team to score above 20 was the New Orleans Breakers, who wouldn't score 20 points if the Stars didn't have 2 turnovers in their own zone. It was
Oh my
like,
God.
gosh, darn it. This is bad. Passer rate.
So we really did not know what we were getting into.
I
And
mean,
so
it's bad. It was
I'm going
bad.
to tell a story that you told me right before we came on. You messaged Waldeck and I asking for what size hat
Yeah.
typically we
Mhm.
wear that for getting us a team hat for a USFL team. And then you finished watching the games of the weekend and changed your mind because it was that terrible.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, okay, we can have fan allegiance to the teams for the year, but I mean this might be the end of our USFL experiment. And I mean, unless the Bandits really
I
uh, leave a mark on my life over the next
doubt it.
6 months, 3 months, whatever. I mean, then I mean, this might be the end of the USFL fanhood for me.
I mean,
It's that bad.
Tammy is supposed to be the best quarterback, but he threw 2 picks in Monday's games. Like, okay,
Right.
you only scored 17 points against a team that could not score points or stop you if you didn't throw the ball to them. What are you doing here? And then the best quarterback was Luis Perez for the Generals, who was only on the team for 3 weeks because he was on the team where they cut the quarterback the Jets in the first round, and he was the 3rd-string quarterback for the New York Guardians in the XFL 2 years ago.
3rd-string quarterback for an XFL
Yeah,
team,
it's like,
and now a starting quarterback
and the best
in the
quarterback right now.
USFL. And the best quarterback right now.
I mean-
That'll tell you where this league
Yeah,
is at.
I mean, Brian Allen.
I mean, I really did have high hopes for Jordan
Yeah,
Tam
I
just
thought-
because he was that good for the Battlehawks, and then was picked up by the Chiefs as a backup. But it's also the team around him and the teams surrounding these other quarterbacks that were dropped or dropped in the depth chart anyway. But a lot of that, I know you have other things you wanted to talk to, but a lot of that goes back to league ownership, league leadership. It's been so abysmally slow that no decisions have really been made in a timely manner.
No.
Nothing logistically has gone as it should to get things going appropriately. These teams have barely had a month to get together and actually practice on site. Draft was late January,
Yep.
and then they were able to show up March to get
Yep.
ready. I
March.
think, or late, maybe late. Yeah, I was
It
gonna
was
say
late
March. I thought
February,
it might
March.
have
It
been
was
late
it was
February.
yeah.
So you're talking about like maybe 5 weeks
That's it.
that they've been able to actually get together and practice. That's not enough time to actually put a reasonably competitive team together
Yep.
for any league.
No.
And this is how bad it is. It's the same across the board.
Yep.
They're all like this. They're all just not clicking. The talent's not there. Like we said, we got guys who were real estate agents a month ago, and now they're playing football for an alternate league. It just doesn't translate that way
No.
when you don't have the time to put into it. This is just rec ball
Yeah.
right now. This is just like, you might as well have given a bunch of 40-year-olds pads and they're playing on Sunday afternoons playing 7-on-7 football. I mean, this is no different than that as far as the competitiveness of and the
Yeah.
actual talent that we're seeing.
It doesn't help.
It's not good.
I mean, they didn't get coaches till late December, so they couldn't have a draft until you have coaches. Like you
Right.
don't have coaches, so you can't. It's like guys,
Right.
pick this up. I mean, the XFL 3.0 at this point has coaches already lined up. They're a year out.
1 year out.
They know what they're
1 year
doing.
out.
And they have Bob Stoops
Right.
is back. They have Heinz Ward, Rod Woodson. They have names. You're like, oh, I know who this guy is. I know who this guy is. I know who this guy is. They have names that you recognize. Like, okay, they're ready to roll again. And I have my doubts about the XFL, about how it's going to come back, but they're ready to go. They at least are putting a good foot forward, saying, okay, we have a plan, guys. Like, a plan is better than no
Right.
plan.
And exactly. And up until December, there really was no visible plan for the USFL. And even well after the teams had been announced, the team names and locations, supposed locations, even though it's all out of Birmingham, Alabama right now, but where the teams are intended to be hosted after now, there was no merch on the site even for about 6 months after that. We were looking like early fall last year for that stuff. None of it was ready. And really, nothing was available until like March after the draft. I don't know if that was by design, but you're even talking about trying to get a fanhood behind it, and there's nothing to sell, even as additional
Right.
supplementary income.
Yeah, it's just,
It just like it almost seems like they didn't want to make it work.
yeah.
This was an afterthought.
Right. It's like the USFL was trying to compete with the XFL, and they realized, oh, there's a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and we really don't want to do the work.
Right.
Because, it's just bad. And this whole idea of playing Birmingham, they said was now the term is to save money is why they're doing it, not because of the COVID bubble they made it for. Like, I guess, but you're also hurting your profits because I watched 3 of the 4 games. And I saw highlights of the other game I missed because it was Easter lunch, and I was at the Waldex having Easter lunch with them. And,
Right.
the first game on Saturday had fans, and it was a good 15,000 people. Pretty good showing. The other 3 games combined maybe had combined 20 people show up. Combined 20 people is about all I saw. It was bad. There was no one.
Well, all right. Think about
No
this. Who wants to show up to a USFL game on Easter Sunday
No one.
besides the players and maybe like a few parents, a few significant others?
No one.
About 20 of them.
No,
That's your number.
I mean, they even had an Easter bunny Easter egg hunt out on the concourse for kids. Like, you guys, but
There's no kids showing up for that, man.
the other problem is the Birmingham Steelers are the home team in Birmingham. All these other teams are technically road teams playing in Birmingham. Who wants?
Right.
That's their problem, dude.
Yeah.
Like, jeez. All right, so let's get into the story that it lit up the internet.
Go ahead, yeah.
The Inside the USFL show they have on FS1 found out an accident when the Bandits Maulers game got pushed to Monday. I'm like, where's the game? What happened? It got postponed an hour. Okay, fine. Find out 30 minutes later, it's postponed to Monday due to lightning. So, all right. So I'm watching the show just to see what it's like. And, well, we find out that Devian Smith, linebacker for the Pittsburgh Maulers, former linebacker for the Tampa Bay Vipers of the XFL, was cut For violating a team rule, that's what they said on the show. I know they came out later saying violated 3 team rules in the same day or within the same time period. That's not what they showed on the show. They say he violated 1 rule, and essentially it was being disrespectful to an employee of either the USFL, the hotel, because all the USFL players are staying in the same hotel again to save money. Or disrespecting someone affiliated or unaffiliated with the USFL. Essentially for wanting pizza over chicken salad. He was told he had to have a chicken salad by the staff. I don't know who. There's not a lot of details around the story. Was actually that was going to be a problem because he said, hey, but that guy's got pizza. Why can't I have that as well? He says, well, you're getting chicken salad. And is that going to be a problem? And he says, yes. And he just walked away. And for that, and that reason alone, he was cut. That was it. That's why he got cut. That's the story, guys.
Oh my gosh. And he's been very vocal on Twitter about this. Every time this has been posted by some sports reporter, he makes a comment about, lengthy posts about how they're lying and supposedly had violated 3 team rules within a 24-hour period. That was the story that the Maulers put out there, though.
Yeah.
And I 100% believe that they made that story up to try to kind of smear his name.
Yes.
Because they knew that him getting cut over, for wanting pizza over a chicken salad was going to look as ridiculous as it sounds.
Yes. They
and
trashed.
That alone tells me that this league is not going to last. Is if you're now cutting players, like you barely have teams now, and you're cutting players over crap like that.
Yeah. I mean, apparently their coach.
Come on, man.
And their coach was the running backs coach for Sears back in the mid 2000, early 2010s. And he had this rule book he gave to the players of team rules. Apparently, this was Rule 46 he broke. Rule 46. Like, what are the other 45 rules that he could have that are possibly before this one of don't disrespect anybody? I mean, this is line 46 of the rule book. Why isn't this line like closer to like 10? I mean, I want to know.
Don't disrespect anybody was the actual. I thought you were going to say that the rule said don't order a pizza over a chicken salad, which I would believe. I would believe at this point.
It was line 46 was don't disrespect any of your team members, coaches, USFL employees, staff, yada yada. You know that just like, dude.
That needs to be like top 5.
Dude, that's. I mean, Pat McAfee's was what?
The only things that need to be ahead of that on your rule list are don't get arrested.
Yeah.
And show up to games and practices.
Right.
So this is really like this should be your number 3 rule.
Or don't show up to practice drunk or inebriated or high, whatever.
Exactly.
So it's got to be a top 5 rules. Like, what are the 45 rules ahead of this one?
It's got to be up to 45 rules ahead of this. This also tells me that respecting staff and anyone associated with the USFL was an afterthought to him too.
Yeah.
It was almost like I guess I need to add that in there, eh?
Yeah. It's like, guys, come on. It's ridiculous. It
just so happened to take on the form of ordering a chicken or a pizza over a chicken salad, but I mean, it's the premise of the rule.
I mean, we could have talked
also,
about.
Did he get a copy of the rule book?
He did get a copy of the rule book. The coach gave it out like their first meeting.
Okay.
So he did have the rule book.
At least he did that.
But it's like this covered up the great story about the head coach Lee Jones and his wife, who's suffering from mental disabilities, mental kind of decline right now, and how she's at the gate, she's at all the practices with them because she struggles, so she needs her husband near to help out with that stuff. So it's a great story about how the team's being great to her, and it's getting covered up because of this dumb story that the USFL made front and center at the end of the show. It's like, oh my gosh, that's the last thing you see is this being cut. It's like, who
right? Well, and
who did this?
What I mean, it's from a ratings perspective too. Why wouldn't you make this the last thing that you see? Because that's going to be the headline,
right?
I mean, you might get your John Krasinski's Some Good News worthy story with the wife of the head coach who's struggling and has the support of the team and the players and everybody. But what's really going to make headlines is cutting a player over his food choices.
Yeah, yeah. So
that I mean, just being honest, I would love uh, for us to talk more about that other story too. But I mean, this has more of that shock factor of like, are we really at this
yeah,
point with this league already?
yeah. It's
This sounds like middle or end of the season type of stuff
right.
when people just stop caring. That's what this tells me is people don't care,
Yeah,
and this is the kind of thing that's going to happen.
it's not a
We're
good.
one week in.
I will
No,
probably watch the games just because they may get better, and I enjoy watching football because I can't watch baseball because again don't have Martin Key down here.
again, marquee. Yeah,
So I was like, all right, at least it gives me some sports watch. But I'm gonna be watching. Maybe I'll probably watch and say, all right, done with this nonsense. Let's do something else because it doesn't look like it's gonna be good football for at least 5 weeks. At the very least, 5 weeks.
out of what? It's a
10 week season.
12 game
10,
season.
10 game season. So half the season's gonna be bad football.
Halfway through the season, it's just going to be, hey, let's figure out how to play football again.
It'll be watchable. Where the XFL was watchable week 1, and then got to like, oh, this is actually good caliber football by week 5.
And had fans.
Yeah, amazingly.
And I might add, was it the New York Guardians that had an epic beer cup snake?
No,
the
DC
first
Defenders.
Week? DC. Okay, it was DC. Okay, I couldn't remember. I thought it was. I knew it was out east.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
Everything about the XFL was entertaining.
Yeah.
The USFL has just been it's been trying to be the XFL. We talked about this last week, and it's not going to end up like that. People have too high expectations, and they've come crashing down week 1. So that's where I'm at. Is I'll still watch the games as much as I can, and I'm able to.
Don't force yourself.
I'll still support for my right. I'm not going to go out of my way, but I'll still support the Bandits because I do like Jordan Teamu. I mean, we got Michael Scott on the team too, sure, from Dunder Mifflin. But again, I just don't see us really having much to do with this league after this year. And what we talked about before we got started recording tonight was if this league makes it to another season, it won't be by the leadership's doing. It's going to be because Fox ponies up and basically fills the pockets for another year to be able to fund the league. Otherwise, there's not going to be anything happening.
Right.
We have already seen week 1 that the fans are not showing up.
No.
Also, poor planning to have week 1 be on Easter weekend. Let's talk. I mean, let's just mention that briefly. But if the rest of the season is anything like week 1 as far as ticket sales, we may not even make it through the season.
Yeah, another AAF disaster.
Only a global pandemic will save this league.
No, not even that. No,
from embarrassment.
Yeah,
from
okay,
embarrassment.
fair point. Because the XFL was going strong, and then COVID came out of nowhere and killed the league. Like the league was working.
Yes, the XFL was killed by COVID, but the USFL would be saved from
embarrassment.
Might have some semblance of their dignity left if the season was cut short.
All right, so
anyway, we have much more interesting things to talk about. A man by the name of Seiya Suzuki. Seiya. Sorry. He is legit.
Yeah.
He is the real deal for the Cubs. Chris, you put all these stats together. This is your domain. Have at it.
All right, so stats and numbers, as Tom says, are my domain. Entering tonight's game against the Rays, he was hitting .414 with a .585 OBP, slugging over 900. It's insane what he was doing. He leads the team with 12 hits, 4 home runs, 11 ribbies, and he's walked 12 times with 9 strikeouts. So he gets on base, and he walks more than he strikes out. And he's never played in the MLB before. He knows what he's seeing. He takes pictures. I think he averages like 4 or 5 pictures per AB. It's insane. Going into
That's really good to have.
Into the game yesterday, he had a 9-game hitting streak, which is the longest for a Cub player to start an MLB career since Andy Pafko in 1943. So this is a monster stat. His 9-game hitting streak was tied with Akinori Iwamura of the Tampa Bay Rays in 2007 for the longest streak to start an MLB career by a Japanese-born player, which is significant because you would think Ichiro Suzuki would have this, or Hideki Matsui, no, or Shohei Ohtani, no. Seiya Suzuki and Akinori Iwamura, which is a cool set to have. And he also won NL Player of the Week because he hit like 450 last week. So he's on a tear. Unfortunately, yesterday he did not get a hit. He went 0 for 1 with 3 walks. 0 for 1 with 3 walks. He got on base 3 times and ended a hitting
He
streak.
still got on base. And that would love all the Moneyball fans out there and the Moneyball style of play, because how do you win games? You don't win it by scoring runs. You win it by getting on base, and he got on base 3 times. So hard to complain with that. But I would have liked to see him hit that double-digit hit streak mark.
Oh yeah, and break a Cub record, break the Japanese
player
record.
Break a Cub record,
Would have been a great story, but unfortunately his eyes were too good, so he got on base 3 times without getting a base hit.
Well, and when he gets on base and when he
flies
out in the field, he is on fire. His top sprint speed this season is 29.5 feet per second.
Very fast. He's fast.
Super fast. I mean, he's like Sonic the Hedgehog fast.
He's fast.
95th percentile of the MLB per Statcast.
So
he's faster than 95% of players in the MLB. That's what that means for those of you who are not statistically minded. I mean, 95th percentile, that means he is faster than 95% of other players.
Yep, he's
29.5 feet per second.
Yeah, he's fast. He can fly.
You got to think it's just long, powerful strides. That's how he's covering so much ground.
He very nearly turned a single into a double that should have been single by any other metric.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's a simple single. It's like, oh no, I'm turning this into 2, and he was out by a hair. And I think it's because his foot came off the bag after he hit second base and the guy's glove was still on him. So it was one of those situations where he was safe, but
he was there, but yeah.
And so
he's gonna make waves this year. He's gonna get on base. He's gonna steal some bags, and then he's also gonna cover a lot of ground in the field. So it is really, really. He's been a treat to watch so far, and to hear about everything good that he's doing. I mean, this is his first short part of the season, first month of the season, and he's already turning heads. So I am really, really, truly excited to see what he can do.
I mean, we all thought he would have a slow transition. Like we said, Hideki Matsui started off slow. It took him like 100 games to use the MLB, and then he became a guy who had 280 for the rest of his career, so which is very good. This guy just shows up, and he's just hitting 400, getting on base half the time, more than half the time, and is just hitting the ball in the ballpark. It's like, okay, he knows what he's doing. And you might say, well, he has all the advanced stats, he has all this replays to watch. He doesn't watch any of it. He goes out there and he just plays baseball.
Nope.
He says, I don't look at any of the advanced stats they gave me. I just play baseball, which is like, bingo, we have a ball player.
Just as God and Babe Ruth intended, man. That's he just goes out and plays ball and really dang well too.
I mean, he's the reason you should watch Cubs games if you have Marquee, because he's actually a dang good player, and the Cubs are gonna be fun to watch. This goes into the Cubs rant of the week, because the Cubs, we don't pitch well. Marcus Stroman is getting rocked again. Hendricks doesn't look good. It's like shocker. The Cubs pitching is bad. No surprise to anyone on the show.
Never would have guessed that.
Everyone gets that with that rotation, but their hitters are hitting the ball and getting on base. They're not striking out 85% of the time like they were in years past. We might lose games because we hit the double plays, which is more entertaining than seeing guys strike out. Just saying, from a fan perspective, watching a guy hit the double play is more fun than watching a guy strike out for the 8th time.
Absolutely, because the ball is in play. Swing the bat. I mean, I do love that he is getting on base so much, because I mean, other guys need to be more selective than just swing it for the moon every time and then you're popping out, or swinging too much, too hard, and hitting little dinkers back to the pitcher, or whiffing entirely. No one wants to see that. Be selective. Kind of take a page out of Suzuki's playbook. That be selective, get on base, make a difference when you are on base. But when you find your pitch, put it in play too, because he's obviously doing that. Batting .414, he's putting the ball where it needs to be. So, I mean, I think more guys could really benefit playing the way that he does and being selective with what they do at the plate.
And find the power more naturally, not just swinging for the fence. His swing
Yes.
is a sweet swing. It's not overworked. It's just he hits the ball and hits the ball hard.
That's exactly what I don't like about players these days is they might swing really hard, but it's so rocky.
Yeah.
It's so herky jerky that nothing looks natural, nothing smooth. It's not like that beautiful Ken Griffey
Oh,
smooth swing that he got
Griffey.
so much power out of. But and Suzuki's got a beautifully smooth swing, which I mean you see a lot out of left-handed Japanese players
Yeah,
too.
he's
They
a
just
righty.
they know
He's
how.
a righty. He's not lefty. He just
I know, but
Yeah.
you see that smoothness normally out of left-handed um, Japanese players, though. Because that like they just kind of like it's all one motion.
Right.
The hitting it, especially Ichiro's
Oh,
like almost that slap hitting, but he made it look so effortless. But now he's doing it from the right side of the plate. Seiya is, and so like that's kind of my point is, he's taking that smoothness and turning it into power that you normally see out of the big power hitting lefty
yeah.
or the slap hitting lefty, and now he's applying it to the right side of the plate and really doing well with it. So that's just to show that other players, and you see a lot of righties in the MLB can really should take note at what he's doing and how he's doing it, how he's approaching his at bats.
Note to Patrick Wisdom: please hit above 230. You can hit the ball hard, but hit above 230, please. I love the home
Yep.
runs, but if you can hit like 250, I'll be happy. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for a whole lot. Hit 250 with 30 home runs will be good. And as you can see at the bottom of the ticker, I do have MLB standings going on for you guys. I also have a great Yogi Berra quote. I'll read it for times. He is obviously able to read it as well, but I'll read it for him.
I am obviously able to read it.
Baseball is 90% mental. The other half is physical. That's how baseball is.
I love that. That reminds me of it was football practice when I was in high school early on freshman year. Half of this game is 60% mental, is what he said.
What?
And I told my dad that when we got home, and Dad just responds with, "What about the other 70%?"
Yeah, sure. Very sure.
And I just stood there in silence for a second, like,
Yeah.
and then it took me a second to say half of 60 is what he was going off of.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
90% of this game is
Mental.
physical. The other half is
No,
mental.
the
I
90%
love
mental.
it. I
50,
love
the other
it.
half.
90% mental. Sorry.
Yeah, the other half is physical.
It's-
Like great Yogi Berra, the man of many malapropisms. Like you should go to other people's
He was
funerals.
also.
You should go to other people's funerals
Sorry, go ahead.
because if you do, they'll go to yours.
If you do, don't go to yours. When you come to a fork in the road, take it.
The man of all the wrong phrases. So there's our baseball stuff for you guys
I-
because, well, it's early in the
Yeah.
season. We don't want to get too much into baseball because we need a month to get the season
Right.
going. This is an NFL where 2 games is the season. You have 15 games left.
Two games. I mean that there's a lot going on in 2 games as far as what it does for the standings because it's a shorter season. Couple of weeks, less than a month
Yeah.
here for the MLB. I mean, we're barely getting started.
I mean,
we're
usually the
scratching
Reds are in
surface.
first place at this time, and they're usually end up in 5th place, so who cares?
So we'll have more to report on kind of trajectory of the season as we get maybe like 6, 7, 8 weeks in. I mean, I'd say like once we get through May,
Yeah.
we're getting toward that almost halfway point of the season, about a third of the way through the season. So have a little bit better idea about maybe where our standings could end up by the All-Star break.
Yeah, and hopefully Seiya Suzuki is still hitting 414 with a almost 600 OBP. If he is doing that, MVP, I don't care if we don't make the playoffs. Andre the Hawk Dawson won an MVP, and the Cubs didn't make the playoffs. So,
Dude, if he still has these stats by the All-Star break, I'll get his name and MVP tatted on me.
yeah. Because, dude.
And
no,
don't hold me
no.
to that, you yahoos out there. Goodness.
Yeah.
But Anyway, tell us your thoughts on Suzuki, and is he the real deal? And we didn't even compare him to Otani,
because he's playing
Shohei
better than Tony
Otani.
was.
At least at the start, anyway. He's coming into his own very quickly, and like you said, um, he's made set records. Excuse me, I'm out of words, man. He's set records for Japanese-born players, for Cubs early on in their careers. So, I mean, he's really making waves already. And obviously, Otani is a phenomenal player and in a league of his own, in my opinion. But I mean, as far as the start of the career, Suzuki really has shown how elite he is, and coming over from Japan, I think this could really open up a whole new conversation of Otani versus Suzuki. I know some of it is apples and oranges because of what Otani can do on the mound, but I mean, at the plate, Suzuki is certainly making a name for himself, even in comparison to Otani. But let us know your thoughts on how he's doing and in comparison to others in the league, and where you think he's going to end up by the All-Star break or the end of the season.
And you can do that by following our Facebook page or emailing us at sportsandmore with CT, capital T at gmail.com. It's almost like we do this now on a weekly basis.
Really, and almost that we have been for 2 years.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 2 years in July, end of July. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this for, is it 20 months now?
Yeah.
21 months?
21 months.
Whoa. Whoa.
A lot of fun.
Wild. We've had a lot of ups and downs along the way, but it's been a fun ride, and we're going to continue to keep it going as long as we can. Many of you might be listening to this on Anchor or Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also get it on many other podcast hosting sites. Wherever you get your podcasts, we can be in your pocket. You can also find us on YouTube. I think we might put this one up on YouTube. We're not going to have any YouTube exclusive content this week just because of the timing and getting everything together, and also internet connection, because that's a factor now again. So trying to make time for all of that. But if you want to watch all of our old stuff, it's on the podcast sites. It's on YouTube. So give it a check them out. And if you are watching it on YouTube, you know what to do with all the buttons.
And we hope we're not listed as children's programming. If we are, we're sorry. That's not our intention. So you want
I feel like I need to cuss just to get us out of the children's category.
Yeah, I'm sure your father would love that.
Get us out of the bleeping. Get us out of the bleeping children's category.
And just like the USFL, we like to think all of you probably need tens of people listening to our ridiculous takes and rims on the weather, USFL, and Seiya Suzuki.
We might have more listeners this week than some of those games at the USFL.
Probably do.
Probably do. Let's make that a
low
thing.
Bar, but hey, we passed the bar.
But hey, that is a number that we can surpass. I'd say we could. Folks out there, share this. If we can beat 20, we are better than USFL games.
Yeah.
Anyway, our next episode's creation date is to be decided. But as always, keep an eye on our Facebook page for an update regarding the next episode. I'll go ahead and post once we're done tonight in just a minute. But until we get that next episode posted, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and above all, stay free.
Sports and More with Chris and Tom is brought to you by no one. All non-original thoughts and ideas were properly noted during each segment.